Hey guys, Matty Graham here from Exponential Performance Coaching, and what I wanted to do today is I'm just going through some of my emails, answering some questions, and I wanted to give you a little bit of a rapid fire answer on some of the questions that I've got. So hopefully not to get too in depth into each of the answers, but be a little bit more rapid fire quick. So the first question I've got here is from Simone. Says, I'm a big fan of Whiteboard Wednesday, good to hear. And I just have a question about training and adapting. How can an athlete adapt to the training that he or she always does? Sorry, I'll read that again. How can an athlete adapt to the training he or she does when they always do the same amount of training hours each week? For example, somebody trains each week 15 hours over 4 to 5 weeks, just different key workouts, but the durations are very similar. There is no easy week, like less hours or less intensity. So the person's also working, juggling, training around that. So to summarize, I guess we're trying to answer the question about, let's say you're training the same hours each week, you've got the same amount of time. How do you change your training so your body continually adapts? The first thing is there needs to be a clear separation between loading and recovery. If you don't have the load and recovery cycle within a training program, it's not going to work. If you do the same thing all of the time, your body's going to adapt and then it's going to stop adapting to that. So that's the primary thing. There needs to be that. And it doesn't matter who you are. If you don't have that in your program, you're not going to change. It doesn't mean that you have to train more, but you have to train differently. And that's the key. So that recovery is crucial. So you're going to have load phases and recovery phases. But remember, time is just one variable. So you can change other things like the intensity. If you increase the intensity, lower the intensity, you can have 2 training weeks, the exact same duration, but 2 different intensities. One's a very high intensity week, one's a very low intensity week. Same duration, different training load. Otherwise, you can change your training using intervals, adding resistance to your training, such as running up hills, riding up hills. If you're a kayaker, using bungees. If you're a swimmer, using pull buoys, paddles, all those different things, adding a different training stress. Hitting the gym, getting into the gym and doing some resistance work. If you're not used to doing resistance work in the gym, you'll get big adaptations from it straight away. Also manipulating your food intake and fluid intake around training, those in themselves can be training stresses that will lead your body to adapt. So the bottom line comes down to you need to expose your body to different training stimuli, whether that be duration, whether that be intensity, whether that be specifics. So the key thing is change it up. If you're doing the same thing every week, you're not going to adapt. So you can add in all of those things, still staying in the same time frame, the same duration, but you're going to get a different training response. Well, that wasn't really quick fire, but